The terrifying prophecy of Viracocha, the Inca king, was soon completely forgotten by the Inca rulers. They neither saw any signs of the prophecy coming true, nor did they find any reason to believe in it. Instead, their empire grew stronger, expanding beyond the territories left by their predecessors, and their power was at an all-time high. As a result, not only did they begin to doubt the prophecy of King Viracocha, whom they once revered as a god, but they also started questioning the divinity of the Sun Father Inti. During sacrificial rituals, they began showing casual, almost irreverent attitudes, something that was strictly forbidden by previous rulers. This growing irreverence terrified the Inca royal family. Adding to their fear, ominous signs began to appear, as if heralding impending doom. As time passed, the Inca Empire moved closer to its decline. During the reign of the 11th Inca king, Tupac Yupanqui, these ominous signs began to cast a shadow over the hearts of the Inca people. One day, after a sacrificial ceremony dedicated to the sun god, Tupac Yupanqui gazed thoughtfully at the moon temple within the sun temple and said to the priests around him, "Everyone says the sun god is eternal and the creator of all things. When someone creates something, they should be present. However, many things in this world were formed while the sun was not present. So, he is not the creator of all things. Although the sun circles the sky endlessly, it is not alive. If it were alive, it would tire and need to rest, just like us. If it were truly free, it could wander the heavens at will, but it never goes anywhere else. The sun is more like a bound animal, always revolving around the same circle, or like an arrow, flying in one direction whether it wills it or not." The priests were stunned and horrified by the king's words, unable to respond. They quickly urged him to leave, fearing he might say something even more blasphemous. No sooner had the king left than a bolt of lightning struck the very spot where he had stood, tearing a hole in the stone roof of the temple. The priests, seeing this as the Sun Father's anger, quickly sealed off the area as if it were cursed with venomous snakes or wild beasts, and rushed back to the Sun Temple to fervently pray, begging the sun to forgive the king's irreverent words. Yet, no disaster befell the empire after this event. However, by the time the 12th Inca king, Huayna Capac, ascended the throne, such irreverence and ominous signs became all too evident. After securing the northern border by conquering the kingdom of Quito and marrying the daughter of its king, Huayna Capac ordered his army to retreat. Once the troops were disbanded, he set out for Cusco, touring the provinces of the empire, delivering justice and offering gifts to those in need. This journey lasted several years, and one year, he returned to Cusco in time to celebrate the Raymi festival, a grand celebration dedicated to the sun, which lasted for 9 days. One day during the festivities, Huayna Capac, much like his predecessors, gazed casually at the sun, particularly focusing on the less blinding outer edge of its glow. He continued staring for quite some time, which caught the attention of the high priest standing nearby, who was also his uncle. The high priest said to him, "Inca king, what are you doing? Do you not know that such behavior is improper?" The Inca king lowered his head, but before long, he casually lifted his eyes again to gaze at the sun. The high priest admonished him, "Your Majesty, look at what you're doing. Everyone has gathered here to show their devotion and reverence to your father, just as they would to the one and only supreme ruler. Gazing casually at our father, the sun god, is an act of disrespect, strictly forbidden by our ancestors. Not only is your behavior forbidden, but it also sets a terrible example for the entire court and the empire." Huayna Capac turned to his uncle, the high priest, and said, "Let me ask you 2 questions before I respond to your remarks. I am your king and the ruler of the world. Is there anyone among you who would dare command me to rise from my seat and walk a great distance?" "Who would be so bold and reckless to do such a thing?" The priest answered. "If I order one of my chieftains to hurry to Chile immediately, no matter how wealthy or powerful he may be, would he dare disobey my command?" "Of course not, Inca king. Even if you commanded him to his death, no one would dare disobey your sacred order." Then the Inca king replied, "So, let me tell you this, our father, the sun god, must have a master who is greater and more powerful than him. This master is likely Pachacamac, who commands the sun to walk this path every day without rest. If the sun were the supreme ruler, he would have long since stopped to rest according to his own will, without anyone's command." After uttering these words, Inca King Huayna Capac left behind a sense of fear among his nobles and embarked on his final tour. News soon arrived that a rebellion had broken out in the province of Caranc. This province was located on the border of the Kingdom of Quito, where the people, extremely savage and brutal, had killed the provincial governor and officials sent by the king, eaten their flesh raw, and used their hearts, blood, and heads for sacrificial offerings. Upon hearing of these brazen acts of rebellion, Huayna Capac was deeply pained and enraged. He immediately gathered his army and sent emissaries to negotiate. However, these barbarians treated the emissaries with utter contempt, leaving them alive but gravely insulted. Learning of these new atrocities, the king hurried to the battlefield to personally lead the war effort. He ordered a blood and fire campaign, and before long, the rebels were crushed, forced to surrender after suffering thousands of casualties. The Incas captured tens of thousands of enemies and subjected them to a severe and unforgettable punishment. The king ordered that they all be beheaded and thrown into the Great Lake located at the border between the two provinces. To commemorate this event and the crimes committed by the rebels, the lake was named Yawarkacha, meaning blood lake, as streams of blood flowed into the lake, turning it into a blood-red sea. After quelling the rebellion, Huayna Capac traveled to Quito, feeling melancholic and sorrowful that such inhuman atrocities had been committed during his reign. He was distressed that he had been forced, against his own and his ancestors' nature, to carry out such a cruel punishment. It pained him that these rebellions had not occurred in the past, but during his time, casting a shadow of misfortune over his reign. Except for the Chanca rebellion during the reign of Inca Viracocha, where even then, no prisoners were killed, no similar incident had ever occurred. All these events felt like ominous signs, foretelling a larger bloodbath, a massacre that would signal the end of his empire, the fall of his dynasty, and the complete destruction of his royal family. Indeed, as his ancestors once said, "Do not do to others what you would not have done to yourself. If you wish to receive, first you must give." If he could turn his enemies into a lake of blood, then what would the sun god, whom he had offended, do to him and his family? Soon after, the Inca king Huayna Capac finally planted the seeds of disaster for the future destruction of the Inca Empire and the complete extinction of the Inca royal family, and the curse of the sun god on his unworthy descendants began to come true. Inca king Huayna Capac had a son with the queen of the Quito kingdom, named Atahualpa. When the child grew up, he was smart, capable, shrewd, sophisticated, solemn, steady, brave, and good at fighting. Like all the Inca princes and Palia, he was well built and handsome, so he was deeply loved by the Inca king and always kept by his side. The Inca king wanted to leave the entire empire to him, but he could not deprive his eldest son and legitimate heir, Huáscar Inca, of his rights. He violated the ancestral precepts and handed over the Quito kingdom to him through some legitimate guise and with the intention of returning the property to its original owner. For this reason, the Inca king Huayna Capac sent someone to summon Prince Huáscar Inca, who was in Cusco to supervise the country. After Huáscar arrived, the king called a meeting with his many sons and the civil and military officials who accompanied him, and talked to his legal heir in public. He said to Huáscar, "Prince, according to the ancestral law passed down by our ancestor Manco Capac, the Inca king, and asked us to follow it together. It is obvious that this kingdom of Quito belongs to you, and it has always been so before, because all the conquered kingdoms and provinces have been incorporated into the territory of your empire and accepted the rule and governance of our empire's capital, Cusco. But I like your brother Atahualpa very much and can't bear to see him lose everything. I want to see both of you well, so I hope to give him the ownership and succession rights of the kingdom of Quito among the large tracts of land I have won for you, because this kingdom originally belonged to his grandfather, and now it should belong to his mother. In this way, he will have the status of a king worthy of his virtue and talent. And as your good brother, once he has something to rely on and is no longer penniless, he will be able to follow all your instructions more. I will serve you well. In return for the little favor I ask of you, all other kingdoms and provinces you can conquer around your present territory will belong to you, and your brother will serve you as a soldier and commander in the conquest. As for me, I will be at peace when I leave this world and rest with our father, the sun. Prince Huascar replied readily, Your son, I am very happy to obey all your wishes and any instructions to me, even if it requires giving up a few provinces so that your father can give more land to your son, my brother Atahualpa. I will do so to please your father. King Huayna Capac was very satisfied with his son Huascar's answer, so he ordered him to return to Cusco and then set about letting Atahualpa take over the kingdom of Quito. In addition to the kingdom of Quito, he added several provinces to him, and also stationed some experienced lords and a part of the well-trained army to serve him and keep him company. In short, he did everything he could to create favorable conditions for Atahualpa, even if it harmed the interests of the crown prince. His actions showed that he was a father who loved his son more than anything else. This prepared sufficient execution squads and bloodthirsty knives for Atahualpa to usurp his brother Huascar's Inca throne after his death and to slaughter the Inca royal family. While King Huayna Capac was busy with the above affairs and building large-scale projects on the land of the kingdom in the palace of Tumi Pampa, suddenly there was news that some foreigners who had never been seen in the local area were traveling on a ship along the coast of his empire, trying to find out where that place was. This news once again made the king anxious, and he wanted to know who they were and where they might come from. After learning the news about the first Spanish discoverers, the Inca king concentrated on governing his country and preparing for sudden incidents that might come from the sea. Because the news about the ship made him uneasy, he couldn't help but remember an ancient oracle passed down by successive kings, saying that after several generations of Inca kings, some foreigners who had never been seen before would go there, seize their thrones, destroy their empires and the idols they worshipped. And 3 years before this sign appeared, a strange thing happened in Cusco, which as a bad omen cursed by the sun god shocked Huayna Capac and shocked the entire empire. It happened 1 year after Huayna Capac offended the sun god. When the Inca people were holding the annual sun god celebration, they saw a precious eagle flying from the sky, followed by 5 or 6 red kestrels and the same number of small peregrine falcons. They took turns to pounce on the eagle, preventing it from flying, and repeatedly attacked it to death. The eagle could not resist and fell in the center of the city's square, asking for help from the surrounding Inca people. The Inca people picked it up and found that it was a sick eagle, like scabies, with dandruff all over its body and almost all its fur falling off. The Inca people fed it and took good care of it, but it was useless. After a few days, it died. The Inca king and his princes and ministers all thought it was a bad omen. The fortune tellers who specially selected such things made various interpretations, but they all predicted that their empire would decline and the country and the idols they worshipped would be destroyed. In addition, there were many earthquakes, both large and small. Although the people there were accustomed to such disasters, the Incas found that these earthquakes were more severe than usual and many high mountains were overturned. They also learned from the Indians on the coast that the rise and fall of the tides also exceeded the usual limits many times, and they also saw many terrifying comets appearing in the sky. In addition to these terrifying phenomena, they also saw 3 large rings around the moon on a clear and quiet night. The first one inside was blood white, the middle one was dark green, and the outermost one was like a layer of smoke. After seeing and investigating the 3 circles of the moon, a fortune teller went to the residence of King Huayna Capac, with a sad face and holding back tears, and said incoherently, "Unique monarch, do you know that as a kind mother, your mother, the moon, is foretelling to you that Pachacamac, the creator and maintainer of the world, is threatening your royal family and your empire. He will bring great disasters to your relatives. The first blood-white circle around your mother means that after you go to rest with your father, the sun god, a cruel war will break out between your children, and the royal family will bleed to death. In a few years, they will be bled dry and die, so she is heartbroken. The second black circle foretells that your relatives will be killed. The war and fratricide between the two will lead to the destruction of our religion and country, and your empire will fall into the hands of others. The third circle is like a cloud of smoke, indicating that everything will be a lie." The Inca king was terrified, but he did not want to appear vulnerable in front of others, so he said to the fortune teller, "Forget it, maybe you will dream these absurd dreams tomorrow night and say it is a sign from my mother." The fortune teller replied, "Inca king, in order to make you believe that what I said is not upside down, you can go outside and see the signs your mother gave you with your own eyes, and then summon other fortune tellers to listen to their interpretations of these omens." So the Inca king walked out of the bedroom, looked at the phenomena, and ordered all the fortune tellers in the court to be summoned. One of the wizards came from the Yayu tribe, and everyone recognized that he had the highest level of Taoism. He also investigated the 3 circles and conducted careful thinking and analysis, and then gave the Inca king a comment similar to the first fortune teller. Although these ominous signs coincided with his own thoughts, Huayna Capac did not want his subjects to be discouraged. He still showed his disapproval and said to the fortune tellers, "Unless Pachacamac said this to me personally, I would never believe your words. I can't imagine that my father, the sun god, hates his own flesh and blood so much that he would tolerate the complete extinction of his descendants." He dismissed the fortune tellers with these words. However, he carefully considered the interpretations made by everyone and felt that they were exactly the same as the oracle he knew from his ancestors. He also connected the fortune tellers' words and oracles with the new and strange phenomena that occurred every day in the 4 elements of wind, fire, water, and earth, and there was a ship carrying people he had never seen or heard of coming here. For this reason, he was suspicious, worried and sad all day long. He was always guarded by an elite guard, and the soldiers were the most experienced people in the garrison troops of each province. He ordered a large number of sacrifices to be offered to the sun god, and ordered wizards, fortune tellers, and priests to ask the gods and demons of their families in various places, especially the great god Pachacamac and the devil Rimac, asking them to answer the questions they asked about the good and bad luck of the phenomena that appeared in the sea and other major elements. The answers received from Rimac and other places were very ambiguous and vague, neither showing any good things nor foreshadowing the coming of disasters. However, most wizards answered that it was an ominous sign, so the whole empire was terrified and feared that some kind of disaster was coming. But in the first 3 or 4 years, the disasters that people generally worried about did not happen, so everyone was calm and lived in peace until Huayna Capac died. One day during the last days of his life, Huayna Capac, who was staying in the kingdom of Quito, went to a lake to bathe to relieve his boredom. He caught a cold and then developed a fever. From the next day on, he felt that his health was getting worse and worse, and he had a premonition that he would not live long. In addition to the signs they had heard from witchcraft and the devil, the Inca people also saw terrifying comets appear in the sky. One of them was very large, with a green light that was terrifying, and its light just fell on the palace of the Inca king. In addition, there were many strange signs that frightened the wise men, wizards, and priests of their religion. These people were all people who were in tune with the gods and demons. They predicted that King Huayna Capac would soon die, and his royal family would be bloodily slaughtered and destroyed after his death, and the empire would fall into the hands of others. In addition, there were other great disasters and misfortunes that would come, and no matter whether they were individuals or not, they would all escape the disaster. But they dared not make these conditions public, lest they cause panic among the people. King Huayna Capac, who felt that his life was at hand, summoned his accompanying children and relatives, as well as the civil and military officials from nearby provinces who could arrive in time, and gave them his final instructions and will. One after his death, according to the usual practice, his body should be dissected and transported to Cusco to be placed in the Palace of the Sun with his parents and ancestors, while his internal organs should be buried in the Kingdom of Quito to show his attachment to the land he conquered and supported with his own hands. 2. Order his eldest son and legal heir, Prince Huáscar, to inherit the Inca throne and become the unique monarch of the great Inca Empire, and require all vassal states and provinces were to be loyal to him as they had been to previous kings. 3rd, he ordered his most beloved son, Atahualpa, the legitimate heir of the Kingdom of Quito, to be the King of Quito, and to rule the Kingdom of Quito and the surrounding provinces, as well as all the territories he had personally led to conquer and expand. For the empire, and to be loyal to the empire and the Inca king as the Inca king's brother and vassal, and he also required his civil and military officials who stayed in Quito to serve him loyally and obey his orders with due respect and love for the king. 4th, he required all princes, ministers, lords and governors of various places to act in accordance with all the correct instructions and teachings left by the sun god and his ancestors, so as to be worthy of the noble bloodline of the son of the Sunday. After giving instructions to his children and relatives, he summoned other leaders and chieftains who were not of royal blood, exhorting them to be loyal and work hard to serve their Inca king, and finally said, "Many years ago, our great sun god's son King Viracocha learned from the many revelations of the Sun Father and made public the prophecy passed down from generation to generation as ancestral teachings. The prophecy said that after the descendants of my father the Sun have experienced 12 generations of kings, some new people we have never seen will come here, and they will occupy all our kingdoms and many other places and incorporate them into their empire. From all the latest events and signs, I guess these people are the ones we know are moving along the coast of the empire. They are outstanding people, in various they are superior to you in every aspect. We all know that the 22nd Inca king is destined to be me. I assure you that after I leave you for a few years, those new people will come and make our father, the sun god, predict us into reality, occupy our empire and become the master. I command you to obey them, serve them, and make friends with those who come here. Because they are superior to you in every aspect, their laws are better than ours, and your weapons are not as powerful as theirs. You don't have to panic too much, let everything follow the oracle of my father, the sun." These instructions of Huayna Capac were left as the will of the Inca king, and all Incas respected them as gods and strictly followed them. As expected, in the 6th year after his death, King Atahualpa of Quito launched a civil war in the name of paying tribute to the deceased king and swearing allegiance to the Inca king Huáscar, imprisoned his brother Huáscar, usurped the Inca throne, and falsely claimed to discuss state affairs and restore Huáscar to the throne. He summoned all the Inca princes and provincial governors and other royal family members within 4 generations, captured them alive, and slaughtered them all. So far, the bloodline of the children of the sun has been wiped out. Then he handed over the entire Inca Empire to 6 or 7 Spaniards. The Inca Empire came to an end amidst this prophecy and the curse of the father of the sun. The entire Inca Empire became a province of the Spanish Empire. Atahualpa was beheaded in Cusco by the Spanish because of the wrath of heaven and the resentment of the people. Huáscar was imprisoned and died after being rescued by the Spanish. His son Inca Manco was established as the Inca king by the Spanish royal family and became a puppet in name only.